What is up, guys, and welcome back to the Dogghouse podcast. I'm your host, Rob, joined today by my co-host and younger sister,
Emma.
And we are really excited to be back with episode 13.
Super hyped, episode 13.
Man, if only you guys knew the work it took to make this specific episode.
Oh, this week has been crazy.
It's been a little emotional.
Pretty emotional. Not only things to do with the podcast, but we have struggled to sit down here and film this. So we really hope you enjoy it. We're actually super excited about what we have to say this week. Another kind of business related thing. So if
Put on your CEO hats out there. Definitely we're excited for this one.
Yeah, straighten those ties.
Episode 13. Thank you again for joining. Today, we're going to be talking about what is your unique value proposition.
Ooh, value proposition. That's right. A pretty fancy word.
I know. That's a business buzzword I picked up along the way.
So what does value proposition actually mean?
Right. So the most simple definition I could really give, honestly, is like providing unique value that only you can provide. And that's where the proposition word comes in. Essentially.
Creating like a separating factor for yourself.
I would say, yeah, exactly that. Separating yourself with that unique value proposition, your value prop. Right. So unique value, your value proposition. I believe this applies to many different scenarios in life, more specifically business and also social settings in kind of your social life in general.
Yeah, we are going to talk about kind of how this implies and what are the implications of value proposition and unique separating factors in a social setting and a social sense in general.
Absolutely.
Just for a few minutes, and then we're really going to get into how this applies to business and entrepreneurship.
100%.
We have a lot to say about that.
100%. So when it comes to providing unique value or your value prop in social settings, what does that look like? What does that even mean? First off, I'm going to give a little bit of my opinion here.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think people understand the term standing out or kind of separating themselves from the group. People view that as a bad thing is what I'm trying to say, I think.
Yeah,
generally.
I think that people think that they understand what it means,
right.
But it's usually with a negative connotation. And
yeah.
As you probably know by now, we are two very individualistic people, and we have stopped
Absolutely.
viewing it as a bad thing a long time ago. It's actually what's allowed us to get to this point. We feel like it's really important to know what it actually means to stand out and be different from the crowd in a social way.
Yeah. So, for example, here's the sort of opposite of what we're talking about. Looking to your peers, looking to everyone else, engaging what the general consensus is, and acting accordingly, presenting yourself accordingly. We're talking a lot about presentation of self right now, I would say. Absolutely.
That's kind of the main thing we're going to be focusing on with these social implications is how you present yourself and what you're presenting, if that kind of makes sense. My whole thing is, why would you present yourself the same exact way that everyone else is if you know that what you have to offer is not the same as everyone else? Because
100%.
It's true for everyone, even if you don't think so.
Yeah, even if you don't think you have a unique value proposition or a separating factor, we promise you that's not actually the case. We don't even have to stay on the surface level of like appearances, like what you wear, or like, you know, kind of your style in that sense. We're talking about your unique value in your opinion that you give to the social group, or certain things you might say that no one else would, giving your take, giving your input. That is what we're talking about when it comes to your unique value proposition in a social setting, I would say.
Yeah, 100%. You are just not like everyone else. Nobody is truly like another person. And when you can embrace that and really put yourself out there as an individual, because like it also goes into the way that you like look and dress.
No, absolutely.
I think. But it all kind of ties into what you're putting out there.
What you're kind of bringing to the table in that sense.
We're starting to repeat ourselves a little bit, but that's kind of what we wanted to say about
100%.
social value proposition. Like, don't be scared to really, really put yourself out there.
Yeah, and honestly, that's a good transition point, I would say, to sort of how this applies to business and our specific business philosophy overall. So like I was saying, we believe that to our specific business philosophy, this sort of idea of having a unique value proposition fully applies. And here's sort of the starting point for this business philosophy. Unique value proposition, where you're going to find that, it's going to be in your product. So in my mind, what does it mean to have a unique product?
That's a really good question. Like, what does it look like in reality to offer something that's truly unique?
And by product, I don't even mean a physical product.
It can be a product service. Or a service.
100%.
Whatever kind, like, because that's what businesses offer, is products or services. So what are you offering that has that unique factor?
And when you think about it at the most simple baseline of just business practice in general, you need to be providing something of value in order to exchange that for value or currency, if you will. So having a unique product means providing unique value.
Like, how are you doing that specifically with what you're putting out there? Like, you have to think, in our opinion, that's something that we think about a lot when we're putting anything, any sort of content out there, is what is unique about this? What is us about this? Like, do we feel proud that we're putting this out there because it really shows what we want to show about ourselves and, like, provides the type of value that we want to provide? Like, that is constantly on our minds, and we believe it's so important. And
just to highlight that again, delve a little deeper, we're talking about literally our show, what we're doing right now.
Yeah.
In our minds, this podcast is our product.
It is.
And when you start thinking about things like that a little more abstractly, this whole business philosophy applies even more, in my opinion.
Yeah, this really applies to a lot of, not just like business, corporations, everything official. Like, we've said in our last episode, we consider ourselves true entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
And so we are looking at this in kind of a business mindset. And so kind of defining that value proposition for ourselves is something that we are doing constantly with
100%.
everything we put out.
Yeah, just that, like Emma said, that constant sort of analysis of your product or your ideas for a product. What unique value proposition does this have for my customer or my fans or whoever it may be? So switching back to business real quick, and back to unique products.
Yes.
I want to clear up something. I believe this gets misconstrued a lot. So a unique product versus an original product or idea.
Yes.
I think we should get into that a little bit.
So I completely agree, because those are two different things. Having something unique and having something original can be two very separate things.
Very different things. And I think a lot of people, when it comes to business, when it comes to wanting to put out a unique product, everyone thinks they have to put out the next brand new innovative idea, like the next iPhone, the next whatever. Literally, I think people are afraid of seemingly copying an existing idea or an existing product, right?
Yeah, like obviously there's always that fear that people are going to be like, oh, it's just a knockoff this or a knockoff that. But what we're talking about is you do not have to create something fully new, brand new. You don't need a fully brand new product or service in order to say you have a unique value proposition. Those aren't the same thing.
Not at all.
Like, when we were talking about this episode, just the thought came to my mind that all the creative inspiration I get, or everything that I put out there, is fully inspired by something else. It's all mine because I put my unique spin on it and do whatever I want with those ideas, but I always get them from somewhere. I can't just pull them out of nowhere.
Exactly. And by unique spin, Emma's referring to her unique value proposition.
Yes, exactly.
100%. I can relate so much to what Emma just said when it comes to my creative endeavors as a whole. Almost none of them have been fully 100% original, pulled out of the void of my brain. Just most creatives will tell you this as well. It's taking a really cool existing idea or piece of art or something and adding that unique value to it, turning it into something that can be considered your own work.
Absolutely. And this, we just talked about it in a kind of creative context, but obviously it's the same thing with business.
Totally applies to business.
We kind of just feel like it all goes together, because when you're thinking about the product or service that you're offering, doesn't have to be brand new, but what about it is unique and has that spin on it.
Exactly. Here's another way to look at it, kind of an abstract hypothetical, but let's say you have a product you just love. You can't get enough of this product from this one company. The fact that you love it so much means that something's special about it. Now, let's say you have a really cool idea with that product. It's just an adding on or a combining of two really good ideas, essentially. That's a messy way to put it, but I would say the idea of it truly is very apparent here.
No, absolutely. Like combining ideas, bringing inspiration from this thing into this product or service that you really like or notice is like doing really well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like that's a great way to think about, like, how can I add this value proposition? Just in a pulling pieces in a unique way, for sure.
Yeah. So what I want to talk about now, moving on from that, sort of we've defined that what a unique product is or can be. Let's talk about why that's important to have a unique product, right? This is all great to say, but why is this actually important?
Like, how does this apply to your business as a whole?
Yeah, why is this a good business practice?
We believe that this has a lot to do with the end user experience. Your customers that are buying this product or service.
100%.
It has almost everything to do with them. Like, it all comes together here.
That little bit of unique value that you chose to separate your product or service with actually makes exponentially more of a difference for the end user. It makes worlds of a difference for them. It could change their life, honestly.
Absolutely. Like this unique value proposition that you have added to your product or service is now it's now directly adding that value into your customer's life. And isn't that what you want as a business?
That's the whole goal as a business, to put out a product to add value to a customer's life. And what you've done is you've not just given them a really useful product. You've given them a very unique, special experience. That's something I want to kind of highlight.
Absolutely. Like, the end user experience is so important. Like, what experience
how do they feel?
Is the user getting when they're using your product, when they're using your service? How does it make them feel? Like, what kind of value is that adding? But it all goes into the experience.
And that experience is what speaks volumes of your product or service, of your company, and of you, honestly, as a business person.
It's
huge.
It will make your business more successful, because if people are coming to you and getting this great experience, they're going to want to come back. They're going to want to refer people. They're going to want to tell
their friends, their family.
That's how you truly grow a business in our minds.
Is that giving them that unique, truly valuable experience. And by doing that, you've created that value proposition with your product or service. And that's just a huge kind of overall business philosophy we've both shared and talked about a lot. We think that's something that is important to talk about, because it's what we're trying to do ourselves with kind of putting out this content for you guys.
Absolutely. This is all our personal philosophies.
100%.
And we really believe it's so important. And we, like we've said, think about it. And this value proposition specifically, when we're thinking about our business and this podcast and everything that we're doing.
We're very intentional.
We try and be super intentional, and it's only benefited us. I'll say that.
100%. I couldn't agree more, or tack my 2 cents onto that. So I think this might be a good place to wrap.
Absolutely. We hope you got something out of this.
Truly. We hope that maybe you are going to start thinking a little bit more about your unique value. What do you provide? What do you bring to the table? it doesn't have to just be a business, product, or service. This applies, like we were saying, to multiple aspects of life.
Yeah, absolutely.
So truly thank you for tuning in and joining us for episode 13 of the Doghouse podcast.
Like always, we super appreciate it. We had a lot of fun filming this one, honestly.
We had
this is
maybe
what we
too much fun
really
filming this
love
one.
to talk about. So we hope that you enjoyed it.
Yeah, let us know.
Absolutely. Tune in next week for episode 14 and follow us on our socials if you haven't yet.
But we'll see you guys in the next one.
See ya.
Peace.